In this tutorial, I'll show you how to make a very simple progress bar. So see there in top right corner, it's green, and if you take a little bit of damage, it goes down. So let's go. So to start with, I'm going to say that this is going to be a very simple way to do a health bar. So I would research more into how you set UIs out and how you make actual widgets to go inside of widgets and all that type of stuff. But this is going to be a very simple health bar. So what we're going to do to start with, we're going to make the widget to display the progress bar. So we're going to go to content drawer, find some blank space. I'm just going to go at the top of content, right click, user interface, widget blueprint, user widget. And we're just going to call this player UI underscore UI. Double click that to open it. And we're going to use a canvas panel. And like I said, this is a simple way. You don't always want to use canvas panels, but for this thing we are going to. So this is the canvas panel. This is just the screen basically. And then in this, we're just going to get a progress bar. And these progress bars can be used for everything. You can count ammo with progress bars. Basically, it's just a bar that will go up or down depending on what variable it's reading. So in these progress bars, you do need a float variable to run them really. So, but yeah, we're just going to throw it there. And this is going to be our health bar basically. One thing you do really want to keep in mind when you're making progress bars is the size of it. So say we put it at 500 by say 40. So that's cool like that. Because your health will pretty much always be 100. When it's left to right 500, that means that like you take 10 off your health. That's like, I can't do my maths right. That's 50. So it would be down to like, 450 or whatever. I'm not sure if the maths is right there, but basically the size of your progress bar will be the amount of your health. So like from that's 500. This is 100 all the way down to 0. So I'll just say that now. So you're going to compile and save. Also the style. So on your progress bar, you've got the style. So you can have your background image as white, and you can have the fill image as say green. So background and fill image. And you will notice here, you can actually put an image in. So here it says none and none. So that will be if you make your own. I'll go a little bit into that further on through it. So the percent of it, we're going to put it as 1. So that's full. See, so now it's green. And then see this fill color and opacity. You want to make this white because otherwise it's got this weird tint to it. So you make it white. You could just scroll it down like that. So that will be green like that. Compile and save. And then we'll dot that across, hold left click and drag it across. And you'll notice if you play the game, there's no progress bar in there. So you have to actually add it to the viewport. So we're going to do that in our third person character. And I need to say again, this is a simple way of doing it. So you don't always want to add your UI in your third person character. You might want to put it in your player controller. There's different places you can do it. You can make it as a HUD class and stuff like that. So, but for now, we're just going to put it in the third person character. So what we need is we need an event begin play. So just right click anywhere in your event graph of your third person character, event begin play. And this will just fire off whenever the game is started. So event begin play, come out of this, create widget. And then the widget will be the player UI that we've just made. So you just click on this little arrow. We're going to promote it as a variable just so we've got the variable if ever we want to take it off. Well, if any time you need to get information from this widget, you've got the variable here because we've promoted to variable. We can call this variable player UI. And then after this, you just want to come off this and add to viewport. Compile, save. And now if we play the game, that progress bar will be there. So all sweet. So one of the things that I learned early on when I was trying to make games and I was adding widgets into the event begin play on my player, that when I would make main menus and stuff, the player UI would come over the main menu and I wouldn't want that. So what I used to do I would only create the player UI if it was paused. So I'd set like a little branch, and then the condition would be, is game paused? If the game is paused, we don't actually want it, so it'd be false. So you'd only want to bring this widget up if the game isn't paused. So it's still on the screen. So that's a simpler way of doing it, but there is other ways of doing it. So basically, like, so if you'd make a main menu, the game would be paused. The game would be set as paused, so it wouldn't show because it doesn't come off nothing off true. But that's getting a little bit far afield. We're only doing a progress bar. So yeah, like I say, this is a simple way. So do research more, right? So what we want to do is we want to be able to take some damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and go to volumes and then pain causing volume. And then you'll get this little box like this. And then over here on the details, you see pain causing damage per second 1. So let's make the damage per second 10 so we can see it properly. Compile, save. Right, you won't be taking any damage yet because we haven't set it. So we're going to come to third person character, and this is where we're going to make our in the event graph, we're going to make the variables for our health. So if you come down to here to variables, click it and call this health. And this will be a float. Compile, save. Over here, and the values of this, whatever is highlighted over here, the information, if it comes up over here. So look, if I press this cube up here, the information's over there. Right, so if you click on our health variable, the information's here. We're going to set that to 100. Compile, save. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create an event dispatcher to read the health and to send it to our widget. But first of all, we're going to create the damage receiving logic. So in Unreal Engine, there's already a node that we can use for that, and that's called event any damage. So if you right click and put event any damage, and you see you come up there, these are really good because you can actually get damage direction and everything from it. So you see like damage causer and stuff like that, but that's a little bit advanced for now. So what we're going to do is on event any damage, that just means anytime we receive damage, we're going to tell it to do something. What we're going to do is we're going to get our health, get health, and then out of damage, we're going to put subtract. But look, the damage is at the top of the subtract, but we don't want to do it that way. We need to do it the other way. So we need to just get this health and plug it into the top one, and get damage and put it into the bottom one. Because what we're doing is we're getting the health and we're subtracting the damage rather than the other way around. And then after so say if the damage, for example, on that volume that we just made is set to 10 damage per second, that will be 10. It will get the 100. It will minus the 10, right? But now we want to get our health. We don't want to get it. We want to set it now. So now look, it's getting the health at 100. Say for example it's 10. It's putting it down to 90, and then it's setting this variable here to 90 now, right? Now what we want to do is we want to make an event dispatcher so we can send the information across to our progress bar. So we come down here, event dispatcher, and call this health now. Like I said, it's highlighted blue over here, so we got the information over here. Now you want to make a new parameter and just call this health amount. And this will be a float because we're taking in float. And that's done there. We're going to compile and save. What we need to do is we need to drag this event dispatcher in, call, and then basically we're just going to give that information to the event dispatcher. So that's the health amount now. Compile and save. We're going to go back to the player UI that we made, and on our progress bar, see that it's a variable. It's called progress bar, so you could call this health bar, because if you start building up a complicated UI system, you're going to want to know what all your stuff's called. So yeah, I've spelled that wrong. It's health bar, right? But yeah, so it's a variable. Oh, you see this as well. This is the if we scroll back up to the top, the anchors, it's over there. See, it's 1348 away from the left side. So we're going to anchor it to the right side. And now it's 500 away from the right side. So let's just put, say, minus 600. It's gone a little bit across. And put that to 100. So it's like a square number. So this is why I always say try and keep your numbers square as well. So they're easier to manage. So see, so that could have been 78. Or it could have been like 84, but it's easier if you keep the numbers rounded off, so that way you can keep everything uniform. So right, so getting back onto it, we're going to go to our graph, and in event construct, we're going to come off this cast to third person character. This is so we can get the event dispatcher. Come out of object, get player character. As third person character, we're going to promote that to a variable. So yeah, now the variable's been made over there. And then out of this, we're going to come out of this and put bind event to health now. And that's going to be the event dispatcher. We're going to come off this and put type custom event. You can call this health. And then the health bar that we made is a variable, this one. This is it here. We're going to drag this in. And then we're going to set percentage of this. So come out of this and put set percent. And see it's there. But now what we want to do is we want to divide it by 100. So we're going to get the health amount and divide. Put that into there and divide by 100. So if you do this divide by 100 at this UI stage, you don't have to do it anywhere else. So go back to third person. This is where our damage box is over here. So when we walk into it, you're going to see the health go down. Goes down 10 every second. And that's it, it's done. So because we've put this on an event dispatcher, you can add animations. I've got a few tutorials about doing animations for widgets and stuff. So you could make animations, and you could make it every time you took damage, the progress bar went up and down and stuff like that. I want to point out a few things that's good to note as well. So if you go to the third person character, this is where you would do sort of like your game over logic as well. So on your event, any damage. See how we're taking the damage, we're minusing it from the health, we're setting the health. After health now, what you would do is you'd come out of this and you would put equal to or less, equal or less than equal to 0. You do a branch. And then after this, so if it was equal to 0 or less than, it would be true. And then you would do some kind of game over logic there. So basically you play as dead sort of thing. Also, if you were doing health pickups and stuff like that, you'd have to cast your third person character and you would call this health now. So anytime, apart from when the player is, no, actually, if the player gives you that, no, they don't actually. If a player damages you, you don't have to call health now, right? But because if a player damages you, it would go to this event, any damage first, and it would run back into this health now. But if you pick up health, you need to call health now because it needs to tell this progress bar to update. That I don't know if that's confusing or not, but yeah, so if a player damages you, you don't have to call health now because it will do it through the event, any damage. But if you pick up health, you're not going to be receiving damage, you're going to be increasing your health. So you need to call this event dispatcher. A couple of things I wanted to go over as well is I wanted to show you a few examples of making your own progress bar. So this is just basically the bar. I just wanted to show you a couple of things you need to keep in mind. So if I go to this program here, this software is Adobe Illustrator. I've got a couple of progress bars made. So when you make your own progress bar, you need to be mindful of the size of it. So see how it's 300, right? 300 by 50. And if I go into Unreal Engine, this one's 500 by 40. So that wouldn't look right. So I could put that to 500 by 40, and then I'd put the grey version of it in as well, because that would be the one that's gone out. 500 by 40. And like I say, if you was to put any sort of like dashes into this progress bar, like, you know, sometimes I've got like dashes like this, right? You need to be mindful of where they are on the progress bar, because they're going to be relevant to the amount of health you've got. So they need to be evenly spaced. Another thing is you see these hearts here, right? I've used these hearts as a progress bar before, but the distance on this is 472, right, across like that, but there's 5 of them, and you see this gap between each heart, that's still counting on the progress bar. When I put these into the progress bar doesn't know that there's a gap between each one, so it will count the whole thing as 100. So from there to there is 100. So say, for example, it was on 75% health, right? It would be like sort of like let's say 80. So I'm not very good at maths, right? Let's say it was on 80 or whatever, and the health was falling between this bit, and you lost a little bit more health, it wouldn't show because it would still be on the white. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so when you're making your own progress bars, you do need to be mindful of things like that. So the size of the progress bar is very relevant, especially if you're doing stuff like this where you've got 5 different bits or there's a gap between each bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag a couple of my pre-made progress bars in to show you how to put them in. So you just go to your content, go import, and then you find them wherever they are on your computer. So see, I've got the hearts red and the hearts grey. So we're gonna you just highlight one and you just click to their image, hearts grey, go to the hearts red and go down to the other one and click image, and see how they look all weird now, right? What you need to do, so that's because that's green as well, so you want to put that back to white. On this, where it's put the background image, draw as, you need to put draw as image, and then on this one, draw as image, and it's gone like that, and it's a little bit squashed up because the sizes are a little bit off. So if I went back to my Adobe Illustrator, this is 472 by 80. So it's more like, you know, that's more like the size, right? And then you can also, on the tint, you can make it sort of like, so it's slightly see-through. So let's put this as like 0.7. And then on the tint of the first one, let's put it at like 0.5. So then you can actually see through it a little bit in the game. If I take damage, what you'll see. See how it's kind of like got a bit of transparency to it. But yeah, that's about it. I think that's everything covered. I'm not taking damage anymore. I might not be in the block. The block is invisible after all. But oh yeah, it's there. But yeah, that's about it, guys. I hope that's not. I hope that's covered anything. If there's anything else you want to ask me about, just ask me in the comments. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.